Hi, this is Tanya Francine with the National Weather Service Skywarn program, reminding you to keep an eye to the sky and listen to the XJ Talk Show.
Good evening. You're listening to the XJ Talk Show. This is the pre-show, and welcome, Josh.
Hey.
So, if you guys are new to the show, new to the live show, sometimes it gets loud. Yes, sometimes it gets every which way but loose. No, it gets loose too. So anyway, what this is the pre-show, and we're going to be going here in a minute. We're going to be a little late tonight. I've been doing some editing. So the show will probably get going in another 10, 15 minutes. So just hang loose. You'll hear Josh and I discussing things, maybe a little slap fight here or there, and then we'll play all nice and then get back into the groove of the show.
Yeah, that's right. Man, just a ton of stuff to go over for the show tonight. We got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Have you had a chance to take a look at the show notes lately?
I glanced over it during the week, and I added something to it today having to do with the clips for the interview that I did, the audio clips. Did you see that? No, you didn't. You're reading it now.
Reading it right now, yeah.
So I have two audio clips.
I'm going to go let you pronounce that name.
Audrey?
What's the word before that?
Well, you have to have a Boston accent to say that.
Okay. I was...
I think the way she said it was fucking Audrey Cad.
Okay.
I can't quite hit the level. There was dogs around the neighborhood perking up whenever she was saying her name, so...
I see.
All right, let's see. I need to get those clips on the board. Otherwise, I'll laugh and talk about how much of a doofus I am whenever I can't find them. Well, I meant to do that, but I was talking to Josh. If he wasn't so damned entertaining, I would have paid attention to what I was doing.
Hey, it's okay. I can't talk and chew gum at the same time, or talk and walk, or I don't know how that goes, but I can't do that kind of stuff either.
Can't talk and do math at the same time.
Oh, that's for sure.
I've learned that about you.
Did you get the show opener for tonight?
Not yet. I'm getting ready to go over there and see if it's there and put it on the board. I know I play this song too much, but I like it.
I like it too. Honestly, out of your repertoire, it's probably one of my top 3.
I gotta go see if these people have other songs. This is some of that European stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet Dreams by Lamass, Lamass.
All right.
And I'm sorry, Sweet Dream. And should I say the MP3? No, that's an extension. Never mind. That's just a file identifier.
With your kids there, it's just XJs are more practical.
Yep.
And he was so detailed. He's even telling me, "Oh, there is a tear." And he was so detailed. He's even telling me, "Oh, there is a tear on."
That's not a very deep Boston accent. I was waiting to hear something, all gritty and everything.
Well, she says it comes out here and there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I blame network television for making us all sound the same.
Yeah, well.
and Bob Euchre for saying just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside. Is that guy still around and kicking it?
Oh, I got to check it out. I remember watching him come on the Tonight Show, and he was hilarious. Back when the Tonight Show was the Tonight Show, not some bastardized piece of crap that it is now. But I'll tell you how I really feel about it later in the show. Died 15 years ago.
Oh, that's a damn shame.
No, I'm kidding. Let's see. He has not. Oh, he's been in Futurama. He was in Futurama in 2002.
I'll be darned.
So he really hasn't done anything since Major League Back to the Minors, 1998. So there was Major League 2 and Major League in 1989. So he had 3. Well, actually, his whole career, his movie career anyway, it was like 1986 and ended in 2002. Funny guy. Somebody just said, Tony, focus on what you're supposed to do for the show. Need to go see if I can find that drop that you created. You know what? We're looking at freezing precipitation. Precipitate.
Not for you, Lou.
Yeah.
No. Really?
Let's see. How does it go exactly?
So, I thought you were too far down south for that kind of stuff.
Chance of participation is nothing for me. I never would want to participate. Chance of precipitation is 60%. Where is it?
I believe you get wet, but not...
wintry mix is what I'm looking for here.
Oh, Friday, low of 31 for you. Wow.
View severe alerts.
Look at that. With wintry mix, it
Winter
says.
storm warning remains in effect from 9 p.m. this evening to noon Central Time Friday. Timing: winter weather will start tonight and continue through Friday afternoon. Threat: ice accumulations from sleet and freezing rain of 0.10 to 0.20. People in the Northwest are going, "You frickin' pussy."
That ain't nothing. I had that on my windshield this morning.
Freezing. That's what she said. Freezing rain and sleet tonight could possibly transition to a mix of snow and sleet Friday morning north of Houston. Yeah, north of Houston. I've used that joke before. Hey, did you hear it's snowing north of Houston? Really? Yeah, in Idaho.
I'm just looking at this 30-degree drop that you guys are going to have tonight. You just got this little low pressure front that's just going to hit you.
Well, it already has. It's 34 here in Katy. It was. I was driving with the windows cracked in the back on the way to work today because it was kind of warm out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then Sunday you're going to be in 70-degree weather. Look at that.
Oh yeah, probably.
Well, I thought we had wild temperature swings up and around here.
In Texas, if you don't like the weather, wait 30 minutes, it'll change.
Yeah, they say 5 minutes here, so I can relate.
Well, yeah, but you guys are the suicide capital of the world. It would have to be that. What happened to Joe? I hadn't seen him around in a while. Oh, he committed suicide. Oh, yeah, well, that happens. And let's see. Where the hell is it? I'm not looking in the right place. Too busy talking. Was there anything we needed to discuss about the show notes?
Not particularly.
Okay.
You've got a promo that you're going to play for next week's interview. No, I don't think so. We were going to tease something later in the show for next week. And that was going to be the thing that we've been emailing back and forth on. We still want to do that tonight?
I have not gone and seen if I can dig up all of the past things that I was telling you about. So my gut feeling tells me I got them. I just haven't physically seen them with my eyes. That's my only concern.
I've got a small collection of some of the stuff that I've provided over the months and years. It has been over a year now. So I mean, I've got something. I'm sure you've got at least something as well. So we've got, I'd say, at least a couple bullets in our gun.
Well, it's fine. We can go ahead with it. I'm just giving you a
here's
warning.
what I'm saying. We could just tease that there's going to be a big announcement next week, and then release the announcement next week, and then the week after that. So in 2 weeks from now, we will actually be releasing what we're going to be teasing. Make sense?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. You asked me to repeat it. I don't know if I could.
They say twins and old married couple understand what's being said, even if no one else does. I like to think we're twins. Don't be confused, folks. It's two things playing at once.
I was going to say, I hope you knew that you were playing two things at once.
Okay, so we have a Josh's Subconscious.
Oh yeah, I saw that load up. We didn't play voicemails from last week either.
Well, if you listen to the podcast, you would know we did.
Oh, you mixed them in.
Yeah, I was so busy watching the clock, and I think I was driving to work the next day, and I went, "Damn it, I forgot the voicemails."
Yeah. Well, yeah, we were running a little bit long the last time around, so I figured, okay, he just left them out because of the time thing. So
no, I'm not gonna leave the Nikki G out, not purposely anyway.
Very good. Yeah, I'm a show behind, so I'll be catching up. Well, I might be able to catch up tomorrow. I don't know. I've got got a heavy workload this week.
At least you got a job. Okay, well, let's see. Let's kill this off. Sorry, Atomic Cat. All right, so let me listen to this one real quick, so we have a good step into these clips.
With your kids there, it's just XJs are more practical.
Yep, 4 doors
as well as fun.
Yep, it's a okay. So this one, the first clip that I'll play is Audrey's feelings on the 2014 Jeep Cherokee. if you've got the show notes, maybe you could stick that in there.
Then, he was so detailed. He's even telling me, oh, there is a tear on the right front on the seat. And I'm like, all right, I don't care about that.
And Audrey talks about getting her first Jeep XJ or Jeep Cherokee. So now I'll go over and pull up the notes myself. And those clips, let's see. The first one is a minute 21. The second one is a minute 51. So they're pretty long clips.
Okay. All right, I got those in the show notes. You want to play them back to back?
I thought we would just talk them. I say the entry for clip 1, and then chat a little bit about it, and then I'll introduce, or you can introduce clip number 2. And then we'll chat a little bit about it, and then talk about this. The interview will be played in whole on episode 114 or something along those lines.
All right.
Something that sounds good and professional, not what I just said.
Hey, I meant what you knew.
Show notes. So as I was mentioning earlier, if you have just joined us, this is the pre-show, even though it is well after 10 p.m. Central Time. We're just running a little late. My fault. Had several things to edit up and get ready for the show. So we'll be getting going here in just a minute or so, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm all set and ready.
Yeah, I was going to grab the audio where she was saying her name, because it's really funny whenever she says it. But we'll just have to say Audrey.
That's fine. Is she a XJ Talk member?
Yeah, but she's more of a Facebook XJ Talk Facebook friend, and right. So I think she has been on the site, but it's not. She hasn't gotten into the groove of the xjtalk.com groove yet.
Oh, and speaking of announcements, I will be getting a Facebook account. It won't be under my name, but since I have literally no idea what I'm doing when it comes to that, I've enlisted the help of younger family members to guide me through that procedure. So here probably next week, and probably in time for next show, have an announcement then as well that I will be on Facebook here very soon.
Well, good luck. I could kind of tell that you had some trepidation about how to set up the account. So, and I forgot to mention this to you. I went online and tried to set one up, like for the XJ Talk show on Facebook, and it would not let me do it because it recognized those things as not names, as not real names. So I was not able to do that. They basically, in the thing, it said, if you want to go by a nickname or something, you can, and it will be, I forget how they put it, but basically you type it in here, and then it puts your name in nice big letters, and then underneath it, in parentheses, it says XJ Talk Show. And that's not what we wanted. That's not anonymity. And in fact, I think I created an account under Todd Waters. And then did the nickname is XJ Talk Show, and saw how it would actually display, and it's not what I was hoping for. So you can dig around and see how you can make that happen. It looks like whenever I created the XJ Talk account on Facebook, I was lucky because they didn't have all the bells and whistles and barriers set up to jump through to keep you from doing it that way. And
different set of rules back then. Okay.
Yep. So I wanted to read this to you real quick. May read it on the show too, but I just thought it was really funny. Dan is actually in Afghanistan now, which I was a little surprised that he actually said where he was going, because I thought that was a no-no.
Oh, you sent me a little screenshot or something of a
oh, that's right.
Conversation.
Yeah, I'll wait. I'll wait and read it on the show because I thought it was
Very
hilarious. I'm sure it was a bit of a "you son of a bitch."
Yeah.
I mean, number one when he heard about the Jeep sponsorship, and then when he found out it was a joke, so he probably said it twice.
Good times.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can get going.
Let's do it.
One of our latest starts.
Yeah.
Guinness will be contacting us. Okay, let's see. That's not it. Oops. Turn the volume up on that a little bit. Okay. And let's see. Okay, we'll do that one and that one and that one. I think I got everything on the board. Nikki G, Josh's Subconscious, Cricket, and got the opener. I think that's it, right?
Unless there's... Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, and I got the Audrey clips. Okay, ready to go. Here we go, folks. Fashionably late, as Josh would say.
I'm breaking news coming in at the XJ Talk Show news desk. The Energizer Bunny has been arrested and charged with battery. Full report coming up right after this.
Welcome to the XJ Talk Show. You are listening to the Jeep Cherokee Premier Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tony and Josh. Take it away, boys.
Well, thank you very much, disembodied voice. We appreciate it. This is this is episode 113, and they said it would never last, Josh.
Yeah, they did. We certainly have proved them wrong, and you guys are certainly helping us out quite a bit. And by you guys, I mean all of our loyal listeners and fans. We keep climbing the charts, and boy, your guys' help has really been paying off lately. Numbers just keep going up and up and up, and so whatever you guys are doing out there, keep up the good work and keep telling your friends.
Absolutely. My name is Tony. You know me as Mutteroy on xjtalk.com. We do this little podcast, little radio-type talk show every week, every Thursday, 10 p.m., so you can actually join us live. It's not only a audio podcast, it's a video show that we have up on YouTube, and of course we present this live on YouTube, live events, so that you can watch it live if you so wish. You can join in our chat room and cut up with the rest of the folks there. I know 10 p.m. is a little late, especially for you East Coast folks, but we can blame Josh for that on being on the West Coast. You need to move, Josh.
Yeah, well, maybe one of these days. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
Well, as Tony said, I am Josh, otherwise known as NW99XJ or Northwest 99XJ on xjtalk.com. And, well, just like our beloved announcer said in the beginning of the show, it is the premier Jeep Cherokee site on the web. Probably one of the best places you guys can go for Cherokee tech, talk, and, well, everything that is XJ and beyond.
And beyond. I need to echo with that. And beyond.
To infinity and beyond.
Oh, yeah, that's where I'm thinking that. I didn't even watch that movie much. I didn't care for that one.
Well, we got a huge show for you guys tonight. Just a ton of stuff to go over. Jam-packed full, chock-a-block full of good stuff tonight. Tony and I are going to do our usual chit-chat before we get into the meat of the show. Got a couple good stories for you guys. And This Week in Jeep, we've got an interview that we're going to be teasing for next week as well. And we've got, a little bit of anti-theft talk to go over with you guys, as well as some voicemails and some other good stuff as well. So stick around.
Hey, man, Josh, you really called it in Jeep Tips about talking about the Jeeps being stolen. I've seen 2 reports on Facebook friends of XJ Talk, talking about their Jeeps being stolen. It was there when I went to bed, and it was gone when I got up.
That's a damn shame.
It is. And, of course, that's why we decided to do a show kind of dedicated to how you can keep your Jeep where you left it. Damn it.
Yep, got all kinds of good tips and tricks, and some stuff even so easy even your wife could do it.
Wow. So it's a lot like making sandwiches.
Out on a limb. Yes, it's highly dangerous, awfully volatile, and will probably end up in an explosion or two. So, yeah.
You know, Josh and I were talking about Facebook before the actual start of the podcast, and it was pretty funny. I was talking to an XJ Talk friend. I mean, he posted something up, something very disrespectful to women. It was a good joke, though. He was talking about his wife, and said that something about making a sandwich, you know, that she wasn't there to make a sandwich or something like that. And I responded with, it was very disrespectful. And I responded with, I bet you a sandwich just whizzed by your head after saying that. And he laughed and said, no, she's at work. And then about, he says, she's at work. If she was here, she'd kill me. And about 15 minutes later, it was, you better be glad I'm at work.
Oh,
so we have fun on xjtalk.com, and hopefully, you know, Josh is on the pre-show had promised that he was going to get on Facebook, that he's enlisted the help of several underage girls to help get him on Twitter. Well, I'm sorry, underage girls may be my words. What you said, younger folks, right?
I said younger family members. Yes.
Oh, family members. Yes. Okay.
Going to get me in trouble here.
Well, I think you can do that all by yourself. And but anyway, we look forward to having Josh show up in whatever. You know, Josh, I was just thinking, if you're getting underage girls to help you, you might be logged on as Hello Kitty.
Jeez, yeah, that'd do it.
Or worse.
No, I'm gonna keep my anonymity. It's a nice little cozy blanket and a little bit of a security blanket I like to have, especially with, you know, being a public presence like I am, and everything that I do in the off-road industry and the off-road community here in my neck of the woods. And so, and I have other reasons as well. And so it's not going to be under my name, but I will be on Facebook nonetheless. So all of you people, Brian Bub Off-Road, that have been bugging me for such a long time to get a Facebook account, well, I'm finally going to be able to thumb my nose at you and say, na boo boo. I'll be finally having one, and I will be on Facebook here probably within the next week. So I'm going to try and take care of that this weekend, and I will see you guys all online.
So I was telling Josh before the show, I hate to keep going back to that, but if you guys want to hear what happens before the show, you need to show up.
Early and often, guys.
The live
the
event.
Pre-show is definitely interesting.
Yeah, you need to show up for the live event and get there about 9:45, about 15 minutes before 10 Central Time, and you can hear some music and Josh and I talking, discussing things. And one of the things that I was telling you about was Dan Cole. We mentioned him in the last podcast, how Dan was being shipped out to parts unknown. I later found out he was going to Afghanistan. And
Dan Cole, for you guys who don't recognize the name, Dan Cole is the host and creator, founder, if you will, of the 4x4 podcast.
And Dan's a good friend of not only the show but also me. And he was apparently he's currently in Afghanistan, and he says that I'll just read to you what he posted here. I saw this after he had typed it in on Facebook chat. He says, "I've got to know, did Jeep really sponsor the show?" He says, "I've only listened a little ways through, but my internet connection is sketchy at best." And then about a few minutes later, he posts, "Disregard, I finally got to the punchline. Well played."
Yeah. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, you have to go back and listen to episode 112. We had a great promo that we aired where we played a little bit of a joke on the listeners, so to speak. It's just kind of having some fun with Jeep, with the show, and of course the Cherokee that we all love to hate, the 2014 Jeep Cherokee.
And furthermore, Dan just sent me another chat here about 3 minutes ago. He says, "And thanks for the shout out. I'm looking to try and record an episode next week. It will probably be a solo show about the F-150. I'm sure he's, well, you know, when I read that, I thought Ford, but maybe not. Who else makes an F-150? Maybe I'm thinking of FC.
Yeah, the only F-150 that is popping into my head right now is, of course, the Ford's flagship truck, the F-150 pickup.
Yeah, it must be that. I'm just surprised. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about the Ford trucks in any of the podcasts, but maybe I'm just not remembering right.
Maybe Ford has developed an off-road package for the F-150.
Oh well, I'm sorry. They've talked about what's the big Ford F-150, the Raptor.
Oh, and that is on an F-150 platform, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have heard him talk about the Raptor.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, so if you guys don't know about the 4x4 podcast, you should listen to it. It is, I don't think anything Jeep Cherokee. It's like everything else. It's off-road, a lot of rally type stuff, a lot of off-road racing, and damn it, some really good camping food segments that make me hungry.
If you're an outdoorsman, you know an outdoorsman, you like the outdoors and camping and stuff like that, expedition wheeling, things like that. Well, it's definitely something you want to tune into. He's got a lot of useful information and one heck of a recipe every week. Well, every show, I should say.
He loves his Dutch oven.
I'm not going to go there.
He is very enamored of his Dutch oven. He likes the Dutch oven. In fact, he likes it so much, I'm thinking about getting one, and I don't even go camping. It was funny. I told him about going camping the other day. He goes, you can't go camping in Texas. It's 900 degrees outside all the time. It's very true. You need to take an air conditioner with you, which makes the other campers look at you funny.
So I'm going to go ahead and dive right into this. This has been an ongoing saga with the theft of my car, kind of playing into the theme of tonight. As Tony mentioned, we're going to, I guess, dedicate the theme of the show to trying to keep your vehicle, most specifically your Jeep Cherokee, in your driveway, or at least where you parked it the night before. So, but I got some mail here at the house here that is related to the whole my car being stolen, and bring you guys quickly up to speed. Just before New Year's, my car was stolen. It was out of my possession for about a week, but I had heard back a few days after it went missing that it had been recovered. Some tweaker took it out for a joyride and then proceeded to go on a high-speed chase with the cops. They recovered the car. I couldn't get to it right away because they were holding it as evidence. But I got it back and went to a grand jury trial last week, or grand jury indictment rather. And that was just a load of fun. Spoke with the DA, and anyways, through that conversation, ended up getting a request for some mail to be sent to me, some specific forms and whatnot. And well, one of them is the forms and everything I need to fill out to begin the process of collecting, or at least filing for, restitution. My car does have several $1,000s worth of damage done to it. What was either done in the during the high speed chase or during the possession of the car by the tweaker, I don't know. And irregardless, the car has been damaged, and I just had liability insurance on it. I didn't have full coverage on it, and so I need to recoup some of these costs for repairing of the car. And it's several $1,000s. So, but there's one thing interesting here that I got in this interesting form here, this paper that came in the mail. And one of the things on there was victim has right to timely reimbursement. And I don't know exactly what that is. I guess or exactly what it says is the right to prompt restitution, which is the loss you caused by the defendant. To receive restitution, you must complete and return the restitution paperwork that has been or will be sent to you, yada, yada, yada. So what's interesting is that it says prompt restitution. So the right to prompt restitution, meaning I'm going to be getting money back promptly. Which I wasn't holding my breath for because, well, just going off the mug shots and what I've heard from the various court officials and whatnot that I've talked to, I mean, this guy's a lowlife. I would imagine he's unemployed. I would imagine he certainly doesn't have any assets or anything like that. And I don't know what sort of recourse I have as far as going after family or whatnot, but nonetheless, I'm going to be trying to get as much as I can, as quickly as I can, out of the guy, but I'm not holding my breath. But it's interesting that this document here, this is a very official court document, says that I'll have the right to a timely reimbursement. So, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I've never been through any of this before, so I'm kind of naive to it. Certainly my first rodeo as far as filing for restitution and stuff like that goes. It's not exactly something you deal with every day. So certainly more questions to be asking the district attorney's office here in the upcoming weeks. I imagine there's going to be a trial here in the very near future as well. I'm going to be getting a notification of that as well. So just it goes on and on. So stay tuned as far as that goes.
Well, let me ask you, Josh, are you reading that correctly? I know that can be a little confusing with all the legalese, because I'm thinking it might say, what was it? Right to prostitution is what I'm thinking.
No, not prostitution. No,
because if it was prostitution, I can see how he could work it off.
Well, I'm not sure how my other half is going to.
No. I don't think you should be involved. You've suffered enough.
Yes,
I think
I guess
he would be made to work it off. Yeah.
No, you're right. I have the right to prostitute. So I guess what happens if I want restitution, I got to get out on the street corner and start shaking my ass.
Oh no, I'm thinking you're pimping. You're going to have to get the big furry hat and the big feather, and get this guy out there on a leash and chain and say, "Hey, $5."
You know what's funny, Tony, is a few Halloweens ago, I actually put together a pimp suit for a Halloween costume. So I've actually got one of those cheesy, 70s pimp outfits.
Well, of course you do.
It's quite complete.
And I like how you put it that way. It was for Halloween. I know what it was for.
Of course.
You've been trying to come up with a reason how you can explain why you have that for a while now.
My moonlighting job, my part-time job.
Oh, I thought it was one of those things we like to talk about on Amazon about the bedroom toys.
What it's my bedroom attire. Yeah.
Yes. It's costume time, honey.
Oh boy. Well, hey, getting back to some wheeling stuff, guys. I got an invite to participate in the Mile High Wheeling Week event in Colorado. That's with the Mile High Jeep Club of Colorado, and as a guest of Metal Cloak. So, and there's a chance that I'm actually going to be getting my XJ down there, or over there, I guess it would be as well. Working on procuring a 24-foot trailer. We're going to be borrowing it, myself and the Northwest Metal Cloak rep. It'll be both of us. We were out wheeling this last weekend, so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about that as well. But this is a very interesting event because it's a rather large event, probably one of the largest in the state of Colorado, at least as far as off-roading events go in the Rockies. It's huge. It's been a long-going event, and it's a week long. And there's a base camp that's set up. It's right outside of a little town, so you can head in town and get a little bit of civilization for a fix if you ever need to. But it's something that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to have to juggle some things around if I'm going to make this happen. I'm not dedicating to it yet. I just got the invite just day before yesterday, so and it's toward the end of the day. So we're going to see how that ends up panning out. So I'll keep you guys posted on as far as that goes. And if I have service, and if I end up going, I'll end up doing a live report probably with the XJ Talk Show at the event. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds pretty good. So anyway, I finally got my snorkel completely installed. I think I did all the damage probably a month ago, and I just had not gotten out there to cover up the front hole on the the stock hole that they put on the airbox. Mm-hmm. So I got around to doing that, and all fine and good. I think I did a pretty good job sealing that up. I don't know if you saw that post on xjtalk.com.
Yeah, I did see a couple of pictures, and did the kit come with provisions to close off that intake hole in the airbox, or is this something that you sort of just piece together yourself?
I had to piece together myself.
Okay.
They recommend using some tin. Where you can fold it and do kind of things like that. And I looked around and looked at both hands, and I didn't have any tin. So I had to go find some. And I went to we have something called McCoy's. It's an honest-to-goodness lumber yard down here. And I was able to find one of those nearby the where I work, and picked up a roll of flexible metal, but something that was significant enough that it would hold up, and bought some tin snips because I didn't have any, and cut it, bent it, and put it on there. And I got some of that builder's glue to hold it on, but I went ahead and drilled in some holes and did some self-tapping screws just to kind of hold it in place while it was being, while the glue was setting up. And then I ran some caulk around the outside of it to make sure that it was all nice and airtight. So it don't look great. I mean, if I hit it with some black spray paint, it would be all right. But it's I think it's pretty good for what it is.
Well, that little opening, that little flanged opening that's on the front of the airbox is right up against the header panel. There, the core support rather.
Yeah, right next to the radiator too.
Yeah, yeah. And so unless you're looking for it, your head is like literally way over the top of the engine and looking kind of back towards the front. That's not exactly an area that is going to stand out very far. It's not something that's readily seen. You got to be looking for it. So I imagine it's not an eyesore in the engine compartment.
Well, it's not that big a deal, really. But if you take your time on the vehicle to make it look nice and functional, off-road functional, it can be kind of important. But like I said, I'm really not all that worried about it. Now, since I used that caulking, that sealant on the outside of it, and it's bright white because I think it's like bathroom caulk, it does stick out.
Oh, okay.
It would look really pretty under a nice black light.
So, I mean, all form aside, function-wise, did you notice any sound difference, any performance difference in the way that the engine accelerated or anything like that?
No, have not noticed any sound difference either. After I sealed it up, I started up the engine, and I was doing the paper over the snorkel test. And at idle, it doesn't really want to hold it up there, really. It's one of those blue sheets, those little blue hand things that you use, shop towels. But I mean, it's the paper, the blue paper ones. And it would kind of hold it up there. And I figured, well, if I gave it a little gas, it probably would. And then I noticed there's the snorkel head where it slides down on top of the snorkel tube. It has slots. There's like 4 slots where they have cut into it so that whenever you put the stainless steel hose clamp around there, there's something for it to collapse, to collapse and grab the main tube. So it can draw air from the sides. It's not just the opening at the top. So yeah. So I'm sure it's a fine design. It doesn't matter. It's 6 foot up. And definitely going to be pulling cold air now instead of any warm or hot air that's inside the engine bay. I mean, certainly where it was next to the radiator, right next to that 6,000-degree engine during the summer. So I would say that I have seen a performance increase, slight, probably notable on the gas mileage, but not in the mile per gallon range, certainly. But, I measure it every time because I got a little app on my phone. So I measure the miles per gallon every time I fill up and have done since, around 2010, maybe perhaps earlier. So I do have a long-term mile per gallon calculation that I see. And I think my last one was like 11.86 or 11.49 or something.
So, quick question for you then, kind of out in left field here. All that mileage data, have you been saving? I mean, can you go back, a year or so and be looking at every tank? And I mean, do you have the full record of since you've started using that app?
Yes.
That would be interesting to put into like an Excel sheet or some kind of a bar graph and kind of see sort of as the modifications get added to the Jeep, sort of watch those MPGs start falling through the floor.
Well, interestingly enough, and I guess this is good because there's so many posts on xjtalk.com, you haven't seen it, but I do have a mile per gallon thread and a graph on xjtalk.com. It hasn't been updated in probably a year. It didn't seem to generate a lot of post activity, so I take that to mean that I'm not that interested in it. But thank you for posting it. So I continue to collect the data. I just haven't posted it on xjtalk.com. But if you, I'll have to find out where that is and send you the link. But you can probably do a Google search and just do xjtalk space Mutteroy MPG. Might be a good way to find it. But anyway, the interesting thing is that the only thing that has made there's 2 things in the last. Gosh, I mean, I'm thinking it goes back to 2008 or actually earlier than that. The 2 things you'll notice that made the biggest differences were the 456 gears. There was a drastic increase in miles per gallon, probably upwards of 2 miles per gallon. And then about a year and a half ago, September, about a year and a half ago, there was a dramatic decrease, and that was whenever I put the new engine in.
Oh, well, now let's I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit and say, well, that it wasn't just a direct OEM swap. Now you had some performance parts in there as well as a different cam, which of course is going to change the whole fuel curve drastically, I would imagine.
Well, I think a lot of this had to do with issues that I had, not with the engine, but with the exhaust system. The catalytic converter was blocked, and certainly there was a lot more air passing through that engine with the cam, and also too the cylinders were no, it's not drilled. It's not honed. What word am I looking for?
Yeah, cylinders are honed or bored over.
They were bored 60 over. So the engine is the pistons are 60 over. I'm using a 99 plus intake, so there's better airflow, intake airflow, and using the 95 head, which has a good inflow and outflow for exhaust. So anyway, I think a lot of it had to do with the catalytic converter being blocked, and there's been a few other issues. Certainly, adding the throttle body, the bored out throttle body, I think helped a little bit. Getting the snorkel on there to get the cold air in and more air in. Certainly, the snorkel is a larger aperture opening than what it is on the front of the airbox. So I think all those things have helped. Now, I'm not quite sure that there's not still an issue with the exhaust system. I'm kind of batting that around in as much as I'm wondering if I might need to go with a larger diameter exhaust. I do have an honest-to-goodness back pressure gauge that I bought from Amazon.com.
Oh, interesting.
Where you take out the upstream O2 sensor and attach this gauge, start up the engine, rev it, and see how much back pressure you have. And I was reading 0. I'm not quite sure what's going on. But anyway, the point is that I'm back to the gas mileage that I was at before the engine swap. So if you look at it, there's a slight decline in the graph as far as mile per gallon, but we're talking about a fraction of a mile per gallon, not a quarter, not even an eighth. So the 4.0 runs about the same miles per gallon, no matter what I've done to it, no matter how much weight I've added to it. It's been running about 11.5 to 12 miles per gallon. Now, that is not highway. That's, like probably a mix highway and city.
Well, there's definitely something to be said about consistency.
Yep. It can be maddening, though, whenever you do things to try to improve gas mileage. But people keep harping on the weight, the airflow, the lights on the front, and all the rest of that crap. My data does not show that it made a damn bit of difference.
Well, so now speaking of making a difference, you had some front drive shaft issues here recently. Can you talk about that real quick?
Well, the spline on the front drive shaft, there's some plastic on that spline, and I think that my stock original drive for shaft that is worn out because there's a little bit of play. If you push on it from the side, it wants to move side to side or up and down depending on how you're pushing on it.
So were you feeling vibrations then while you were driving coming from the...
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention is that driving one day, I had it, and it was raining out, and I put it in four-wheel drive full time, and I noticed all the vibrations were gone unless I took my foot off the gas, and then they came back. Not as bad, but they came back. So doing some discussions with friend and show friend Matt, he says, well, it's probably the spline, and I actually greased up the fitting that's right there on that spline, and it helped out quite a bit. It stiffened it up, and it helped out quite a bit. So my plan was to take that drive shaft off, take it to a drive shaft repair place, and let them work their magic and also balance it and put it back on. Well, I thought, well, you know what? I'll go check eBay and see if they don't have a drive shaft that I can get, and that way I can put one on. And while this one's at the shop, and won't have to be without four-wheel drive, because that's when things happen. Is whenever when you've removed capabilities from something. So anyway, I went out there to put that easy job. Just take out the 8 bolts, and in my case, I've got 2 U-bolts on the Dana 30 now because I removed those straps and actually replaced those straps with the U-bolts for more strength. So of course those came off just fine, but I found that back on the side of the drive shaft that's closest to the transfer case, one of the bolts, and I can't believe they use 5/16 head bolts. It's tiny. The socket wrench that I have is probably about 5 inches long for that size. It's nuts. And I don't know if it was me or if it was the transmission people a couple of years ago, whenever they were tightening that thing back up, and it's really tight. And the head just there wasn't enough there for it to grab hold of. So I actually went to Amazon. I keep saying that. And picked up a set of I think they're called bolt outs for the
easy outs.
No, this is different. This isn't something that you drill into. It goes on, and you can't see it, Josh, but I'm pulling it up here or picking up here in front, and basically they look like little sockets, but what they're meant to do is they go in on top of the rounded off bolt head. And they kind of bite into what's left of the bolt head.
So is the socket like loaded with little spring loaded pins on the inside of it or something? Is it one of those?
No, it's kind of a spiral pattern.
Oh, okay.
It's inside of there. Right. And I got a set of 5, and one is the right size for the rounded off head. So I'm hopeful that this will get it off there, but my other problem is that I need to get a replacement bolt. And of course, Matt says I got some, but he's 70 miles away in Conroe, and these are kind of a strange looking little bolt because they're relatively long. I think it's a 5/16 wide thread with a 5/16 head. And the only reason I can think that they did that is that it's in a kind of a close area inside, right between the transfer case and the rest of the drive shaft. But anyway, so nothing's easy. No modification goes unpunished, and so I still got the vibrations. I was really looking forward to going out and driving to work the next day and seeing if that other drive shaft that I got off of eBay made a difference in the vibrations, because until you've actually repaired something and replaced something or whatever, you don't know for sure. You may highly suspect it, you may be almost 100% certain, but you don't know until you actually test it. So I was looking forward to trying another drive shaft and seeing if those vibrations went away.
Well, best of luck to you there in that, and definitely be looking forward to a full report on that. And speaking of reports, I went wheeling last weekend and had a lot of fun actually. Conditions couldn't have been better.
Oh, was there snow?
Well, I was on the hunt for snow. I was trying to find some snow, and we did our best. Believe me, we climbed to the summit of the Tillamook State Forest mountain range out there. Between Portland and the Oregon coast, and it had a lot of fun. I mean, we left the city, and it was extremely foggy. Early morning departure time. Made our way out west to get up to the OHV staging area, and by the time we got up there, the fog had risen above the fog, or it had just plain cleared. In any case, it was a beautiful sunny day. Very few clouds in the sky at all, which was kind of a catch-22 because I was breaking in my GoPro, and the objective was to take as much video as we could. We had 2 GoPros between the pair of us, and a couple point and shoots as well, and so we were all geared up. But the sun was playing havoc with the cameras because the cameras that were mounted on the inside of the vehicles, the sun was creating that glare across the windshield. And so there's still a lot of good footage that we got that we ended up taking somewhere in the neighborhood of about 23 gigs of video and pictures. And I'm just about through all of those. I'm going to add some music to some of them and get those up on YouTube here very soon. So you guys can be looking forward to those here in the next week as well. But we made it up to the summit and found a little bit of snow. It was a patch about 10 feet square and about an inch deep. So it was park the Jeep next to it and take a picture. And then that was about all the snow we found. But no, had a good time. Brought a coworker up there. It was his first time out wheeling. He was just playing passenger. He's actually looking to get a Jeep, and I think I've just about got him talked into getting a Jeep Cherokee. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But it was supposed to be a mild, relatively easy wheeling trip. We're just going to go up there, kind of tool around, and just because haven't been wheeling in a while, and was getting the itch. So went out there and of course I haven't taken the Cherokee out since I replaced motor mounts either. So I went up there and was hitting some trails and a lot of the same old stuff that we usually do. You kind of have to hit a certain section of trails in order to get to a certain area of the OHV, some of the other trails out there. Anyways, we passed this one spot that's along this one trail. It's got several sections to it. It's called Fire Break 5. And it's if you're heading up, it's you're gaining some serious altitude through each section. It's a fairly decent hill climb through each section, and it's relatively hard. I know every state has different trail ratings, but these were black diamond, double black diamond trails. It's relatively difficult. Triple black diamond obviously being stuff that you need a truggy or an extremely built, exo caged, very armored up rig, lockers front and rear, and probably minimum of 35s just to get through it. So we were in that kind of heading up towards some black diamond, double black diamond stuff, and there's this one spot where it's this little spur road that pops off into an area called Crushers. And those in the area who are familiar with the Tillamook State Forest OHV area are familiar with what Crushers is, and of course the kind of difficulty that it presents. So the last time I was in there is when I bent my Warrior Products rock rail, and I figured, okay, well, we'll just bypass that, no big deal. Well, the compadre I was with decided, well, let's just go in here real quick. We're gonna show this guy here sort of what the extreme is like. Okay, well, we'll just go through the filter and then we'll hike the rest of the way down. And so going through the filter, went through that and made it through with relative ease. We parked up, and that's where we found the snow actually. Hiked in and kind of, saw the big gigantic field of boulders that is Crushers. And okay, this is what triple black diamond is. This is, the extreme wheeling right here. This is what rock crawling is. You got a little bit of a taste of it. Okay, now let's go. So, on our way out, however, I was the first one to go out. And as I started entering the filter to go out, the Jeep kind of slid a little bit and then pitched in body roll. And the passenger side rear door bumped up against the guy who I was with, his tire carrier, and just his rear tire, or the tire that was on the tire carrier, spare tire, kind of pushed my door in a little bit. So I got some fresh body damage, and it's not from a tree, it's not from a rock, it's from a tire. Dang it! So it's nothing major. It didn't cave the door in, it didn't break the glass. Nothing major like that. Just barely pushed the door in a little bit right underneath the window area. And it's something I can probably get to by hand, push it back out. Paintless dent removal should take care of it. It's not a big deal either way. Again, it's not a show rig. It's not a daily driver anymore. Granted, I love my Jeep, and any kind of damage at all I absolutely hate. But nonetheless, some fresh body damage. So that kind of sucked. But nonetheless, had a lot of fun. But there was one point in time where we were kind of making our way back down the mountain through the trails, and we came across a pair of Wranglers that were there. And for those of you who aren't familiar with trail etiquette and the right thing to do, and this kind of falls in the category of some of the tread lightly principles. And if you guys don't know what tread lightly is, please head over to treadlightly.org and check out what tread lightly is and all of the kind of teachings that will help you be a better wheeler and a better steward of land use. And there was a guy who we were one turn away from exiting the trail. literally probably 25 yards worth, maybe 50 yards worth of trail left before we were back onto a logging road. And this one guy that was a pair, part of this pair of wranglers, decided to enter the trail anyways, even though we were, right there, spitting distance away from each other, just literally a turn away, decided to enter the trail anyways. And those who are coming down a trail have the right of way over the ones who are coming up the trail. And he decided to enter the trail and then not only not give us the right of way, but then proceeded to drive off the trail, just out into the woods to clear us so that we could bypass, get through. This is horribly wrong. This is the kind of stuff that gets trails closed down. This is the kind of stuff that ends up getting parks closed down and gives us wheelers a bad name. And it kind of pissed me off. And, we were having a good day. I really didn't want to, interrupt that. I didn't want to stop and give this guy a lesson or anything, even though I very much should have. But nonetheless, I kind of, said, to the guy who was, doing the right thing, that was still parked down below. I was like, hey, your buddy's not doing the right thing up here. Hey, just, let him know, have a good day. And that was that. So we went on our merry way. And a little bit later, we actually came across, some junk. Somebody had left one of those easy up, pop-up canopy things, the whole frame just sitting there out in the open, left that there. So we, the legs were kind of busted up, but everything else was still pretty much intact. The cover was nowhere to be found. We broke the legs off, folded the thing down. I threw that in my roof rack, packed that down off the mountain, ran into one of the sheriff's department vehicles on the way down, and let him know about the situation. Talked him into actually taking the thing off of my hands. So that was nice. And then nearly back down to camp, or the staging area rather, we passed a little illegal camp spot that still had a fire going. It was still smoldering and smoking. And granted, we're in the middle of winter here, and everything was wet around it. But nonetheless, that's the kind of stuff that can get a fire going, a forest fire. And that's the last thing that we need. And one that recently happened in Southern California was caused by an illegal campfire. An ember was, lit, cast skyward, and those lit embers, once they leave the fire, they can go for a mile and still be hot enough to cause damage. And so, it's, slam on the brakes, into the ditch almost, back up, make a beeline for this fire. I didn't want to use my fire extinguisher on it. So luckily I carry a bunch of water with me anytime I go wheeling. Pop out the water, douse the fire down, stomp it down, really get the coals all loosened up and get them soaked down. Got the fire put out, and then proceeded to pick up 3 garbage bags worth of trash that somebody had left behind. And this kind of stuff is just absolutely unacceptable. Folks, one of the things that Tread Lightly will teach you is pack it in, pack it out. You bring it into an OHV area, into the woods or something like that. Make sure that you bring it out. You pack in trash, you create, I don't care if you're drinking, whatever, your trash, your cans and stuff like that. You bring them in, make sure you bring them out. This kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that really gets things shut down. And I don't like to see it. I hope you don't either. And hopefully this kind of gets you guys to maybe open your eyes up a little bit. If you see this kind of stuff, take care of it like I did, please.
Josh, could you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Repeat this. Only you could prevent forest fires.
Only you can prevent forest fires. It's true, guys. It's true.
But anyway, I know there's a wussification factor in what Josh is saying about Tread Lightly, because it's like, it's wide open land. Who cares? I mean, I got that attitude, but the point is, if you want the trail open the next time you want to go out there, you need to grow up and do what your mama should have taught you to do. Push in the chair, close the door when you pee. Oh, and wash your damn hands.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of etiquette. It goes a long way, guys. And I know it'd be a lot more fun to just point and skinny pedal the whole way, yes, and be damned what falls in your way. But
yeah.
But really, it's we gotta be good stewards of the land. Depending on where you're wheeling, whether it's private land or government land, irregardless, you want to leave it in as good a condition, if not better, than when you got there. So just be wary of that. And if you see kind of garbage laying around, or an unattended campfire, or somebody that left a campfire smoldering or burning, just please take care of it, because this is the kind of stuff that keeps our lands open.
Hey guys, this is Andy from Ironman4x45.com, also known as Ironman Andy, and you're listening to the XJ Talk Show.
xjtalk.com is where you go when you're not off-road. And now you can go to xjtalk.com when you're off-road too. Using your smartphone, install the Tap a Talk app, then search for XJ Talk. Take XJ Talk with you wherever you go. Jury duty, dinner with your spouse's parents, even, well, anywhere you need your XJ Talk fix. How would you like to be a guest on the XJ Talk Show? Do you have an interesting story about your Jeep, maybe an off-road adventure? Perhaps you're a vendor and want to get the word out about your great products. Send us an email to interviews@xjtalk.com or call and leave a voice or text message at 530-675-4102. 530-675-4102. We look forward to hearing from you.
This is Pierce Umloff, Vice President of Jeep Camber USA, and you're listening to the XJ Talk Show.
First Week in Jeep.
Look at a couple stories for you guys this week. Automotive News released their 10 most memorable world debuts list, and Jeep, well, they find a spot on it. It's funny, if not ironic, that the same vehicle can be on both the most memorable list and in the worst blunders list as well. If you remember a couple episodes back, I shared with you guys two Jeeps entries into the Automotive News World Worst Blunders list. The first being the launch of the new Cherokee, which I cannot stop complaining about, and the second being the Grand Cherokee's propensity to spontaneously erupt into flames and the freak chance that the laundry list of perfect storm conditions were met during a rear-end collision. Well, Jeep gets to save face just a little bit with the entry of this coveted, if not obscure, list from Automotive News. The 1992 Jeep Cherokee ZJ gets a nod for setting the bar in mid-sized SUVs, debuting never-before-seen combinations of luxury, off-road capability, and technological innovation, and spawning an influx of imitators throughout the industry for decades. That was enough to get the nod on the list, and hopefully we'll see Jeep on the list next year as well. Now, the government is ending the Jeep investigation. And although the newer Grand Cherokees are still under the microscope along with the Durangos for their roofs catching on fire, the government has decided to close its investigation into the older model Jeeps with their fuel tanks that could rupture and cause fires. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration asked Chrysler to recall 2.7 million Jeeps last summer. Involved were Grand Cherokees from the 93 to 2004 model years and Liberties from 2002 to 2007. The NHTSA said the gas tanks can rupture if they are hit from the rear. At least 51 people have died so far in the fiery Jeep crashes. If you remember, Chrysler Group initially refused to recall the vehicles, citing that there's no way to determine what will or won't be safe 20 years later in a vehicle's design, and that they should, after this period of time, not be held liable. But later agreed to recall a little more than half of them and install trailer hitches via local dealerships to protect the gas tanks. The NHTSA said Friday it has no concerns about Chrysler's recall plans. The agency is expected to issue a final report on its investigation in a few weeks. If anything noteworthy of this pops up, I'll be sure to let you guys know right here on the XJ Talk Show. Hey, if you would like to submit a story to be aired on This Week in Jeep, please send an email to newstips@xjtalk.com, just like John, Pre-Runner 1982, did with these last two stories. Thanks again, John. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. And also, too, I'll add our continuing search for anybody that would be interested in being a Wrangler expert. We would like to expand the show a little bit and add a tip for our Jeep Wrangler listeners. Not just those two that pissed Josh off and probably set those fires and did everything else that he was talking about. Yeah. So, if you're a Wrangler owner or somebody that knows a lot about Wranglers or would just like to look up information and submit it in for a segment on our show, we'd like to hear from you. And if nothing else, to come in here and protect the good name of Wrangler owners.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. A lot of good Jeep tech out there, and although Tony and I both have our fair share of Cherokee tech that we share, along with a few other guys like Steve 4.3 LXJ with his Jeep tips that he shares with us every now and again. We'd like to hear from the Wrangler crowd as well. So if you guys know a good wrench turner, a guy who's got a fairly built Wrangler or a TJ or a YJ, something like that, even a JK, and he knows a lot about it, please have him give us a call. Leave a voicemail on our 24/7 voicemail line. It's 530-675-4102.
Yep, or you can email to wranglertech at xjtalk.com, wranglertech at xjtalk.com. And if you'd just like to get some more information about how the whole thing would work, that's fine too. We don't need commitment. We just need people that are interested in joining the show. And it can be more than one person, so don't think somebody else is going to do it. Jump in. So, Josh, we've got an interview. Haven't done one in quite a while, and it's not because people aren't interested. There's several individuals that are waiting on my slow ass to get to them to record the show, and I'm getting a little more comfortable in the job the new job that I've been working at here for the last couple of months. So things are settling down. So we should be getting back into the swing of things for our interviews. Now, we did an interview yesterday with Audrey. It's a Facebook friend, XG Talk Facebook friend, and she is an XG owner and takes her stock XJ off-road. And well, here's a little clip that from the interview that we'll be playing next week. This is Audrey's feelings on the 2014 Jeep Cherokee.
With your kids there, it's just XJs are more practical.
Yep, 4 doors
as well as fun.
Yep, it's an off-road station wagon.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's cool looking. So it's
beautiful.
to have a cool looking station wagon, I think, is a pretty big deal. Yeah,
yes, it is.
Yeah, you mentioned the new 2014 Jeep Cherokee, and we give Josh and I give that thing a lot of hard time on the show.
Yeah, you should.
Yep, and I'll say it again. I don't mind Jeep making some money, but good Lord, call that thing something else. It's just it's blasphemy. It's not a Cherokee.
Everybody I know that likes Jeeps or is on Instagram about Jeeps, Facebook, all my friends, whatever, we all hate it. Hate it.
Yeah.
I'm so upset about it. I've also heard that it's been recalled a bunch of times already anyways, because there's a lot of problems with it. Like, XJs, yeah, they have little issues or whatever, but, they still go strong. And I just don't know about this new Cherokee. I hate it anyways. It looks like a bug that you see in the garden shed that you crush with your foot. And I just don't like it. But, you were talking about crushing and killing the 2014 Cherokee, and I had some questions and comments about that.
So you'll have to listen to next week's episode to hear her questions and comments about crushing the 2014 Cherokee. Apparently she got rather excited when we talked about that on the show, Josh.
I'm getting excited just sitting here. Anytime we talk about crushing a new Cherokee, man. I start getting all giddy, man. I like this chick. Oh yeah. It sounds like she got a great sense of humor and everything. And she's right. It does look like a bug.
Yep. It really does.
We got another little soundbite here for you. Audrey's going to tell us a little bit about what it was like getting her first XJ.
Then, he was so detailed. He's even telling me, oh, there is a tear on the right front passenger, on the seat. And I'm like, all right, I don't care about that. It could have no seats, except for a driver's seat. I'm like, just tell me what's wrong with it for it to run and operate perfectly. So, I did that. And then after that, I went and got it towed to my friend's house. We bought the parts, and rebuilt it so that it would work. But the head gasket blew. That was devastating.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
Yeah, it was like the worst. And everybody was telling me, how I said, you got to think outside the box. Everybody's telling me, oh, you're going to have to junk it, get rid of it, sell it, get rid of the Jeep. You can never drive that again. And I already own it anyways, flat out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, no, I love my Jeep. Like, there's no way I'm going to get rid of it. I'm like, I don't care if it sits in that parking lot for a year. I'm getting her back on the road, So everybody, oh, this is, that's illogical. But, what ended up happening was, how people get bills in the mail and they just pay them?
Right.
Well, I got a tuition statement and I noticed there was a mistake and that they owe me $1,500. So, I'm sure you've heard of the phrase Boston Strong.
Mm-hmm.
I have me and my friends, we have Audrey Strong. Because that's how I get when I need to get on the phone with a bill company.
Absolutely.
So, I call them and say, you messed up, send me this check. So whatever, all worked out, where I ended up getting a check for $1,500, and I work at a junkyard. So we pulled out an engine from a 2000 Jeep Cherokee and threw it in mine, and she was.
Now, what you'll find out in this interview, Audrey is actually a trained chef from a very prestigious, I don't know if they call it a college or whatever they give these, do this training from, very expensive. And she has been a chef for the last 12 years. And because of her Jeep addiction and her love of vehicles, she went and got a job at a junkyard.
Wow. I cannot wait to hear the rest of this story. Guys, you have got to tune in next week to episode 114 for the rest of this interview with Audrey.
Yep, that'll be next week, guys. And it was a lot of fun. And, you know, you guys should think about this when we ask you to get involved in the show. Everybody has a story of some, you know, varying degrees of entertainment. And I think that you would find that once you got talking about what was going on, you'd be thinking about things that happened and interesting things that people can relate to. So please consider getting involved in the show, whether it be a segment, a video, a clip that we've requested, or just calling into our voicemail line and acting up a little bit. Hell, you know, everybody likes to drink and do random calls, right? Well, add us to your list.
Absolutely. Guys, we love the participation. Like I've said 1,000 times, we've got a third seat here open, and it's open for you.
Hi, this is Tanya Francine with the National Weather Service Skywarn program, reminding you to keep an eye to the sky and listen to the XJ Talk Show.
The XJ Talk Show is now available on iTunes. Subscribe and leave a review. Also, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one just sitting there listening to the XJ Talk Show. Why aren't you a part of it? What? Tell me more, you say? Well, it's pretty simple. You can become an XJ Talk Show reporter. All you need is a smartphone and the ability to talk to people. Just email reporter@xjtalk.com for more information.
And now for a disclaimer. Jeep Tips is for entertainment purposes only. If you choose to follow these tips, man up and take the responsibility for your own actions. If you cannot, or you feel that working on your Jeep is beyond your abilities, seek the help or advice of a trained, certified mechanic.
Got a tip? We do. It's time for Jeep Tips.
Well, guys, as we mentioned earlier on in the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to keep your Cherokee in the driveway or in your parking space at the very least. It's basically anti-theft solutions. Now, there's a lot of them that go, well, from one extreme to the other. Easy stuff to full-blown $1,000 aftermarket security systems. We've covered some of them in the past with other episodes, and I highly encourage you guys to go back and check out. I think it was episode 74 of the XJ Talk Show, and I covered some security tips there as well. But there's some other ones, simple stuff, do-it-yourself type of stuff that you don't need a master's degree in mobile electronics to do. You don't need an ASE certification to figure it out. A lot of the stuff is, well, common sense, and, well, some of it's a little bit more, let's say shade tree mechanic style stuff. Some of it's really easy and common sense. We'll go through this list. I've got a little bit of a list here. We'll go through them sort of one by one and talk about them, list some pros and cons of each one, and talk about how cheap or easy it is or how reversible it is, because there's a chance that maybe you want to take this anti-security or anti-theft device, rather, out if and when you sell the vehicle, or if it's time to scrap it, something like that. So one of the things that I want to talk about is a dummy fuse in the fuse block for your fuel pump. Now, every Jeep has got a fuse block in it somewhere, and oftentimes there's a cover that goes with that. If the cover's missing, then you can look into like a Chilton or a Haynes manual for what those fuses are supposed to be. The information is also readily available online, so I'm not going to go through here and tell you exactly which fuse does what, but you want to look for the one that controls the fuel pump. What you want to do is either put a dummy fuse in there or take the fuse out altogether. Now, a smart thief may be able to troubleshoot this very fast, but again, most thieves who are stealing a car want to get in and get away as fast as possible. The more things that you put in their way, or the more difficult you make it for them, either the more time that you have to catch them, shoot them, or detain them, or at the very least make it so where they give up and just go on to the next vehicle.
Yeah, look at it like a club. You guys remember the club that you would put on a steering wheel? It was big, it was red, it was very visible, and certainly easily defeated without having to have a key. But just that time that was involved, hopefully the would-be thief would just move on to somebody else, maybe to a Honda.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Now the pros for the dummy fuse block are dummy fuse. And what I mean by dummy fuse is you could take the same color of fuse, the same amperage rating of fuse, and pop it on purpose. You can do this with just your battery, a couple little alligator clips. You can do it with your jumper cables if you're really careful. A couple strands of wire, something like that. Basically, what you want to do is short that fuse. Power to one side, ground to the other. Just touch it very quickly. Don't need to hold it there for very long. And what that's going to do is it's going to cause a dead short and pop that fuse. Now, the fuse is going to look like it's okay unless you're actually, looking for it. Once you put it in the fuse block, well, there's no telling unless you actually pull it out and check it out. So if a thief takes a really quick look, sees that all the fuses are there, he's going to think, well, this car might just be broken and I'm going to move on to the next rig. So the good thing is this is a cheap, very easy fix, probably under 50 cents if you want to put a price tag on it. And it's completely reversible at no cost whatsoever. Now, the cons to this is, well, a smart thief may be able to troubleshoot this fairly fast if they know what they're looking for. Now, moving on to the next item.
Well, let me just make a quick comment.
Yeah, please.
Another con to this is that it means that it's something that you have to open the hood. You got to pop open the fuse thing. You got to make sure that you pick in the right one, put it into place, close everything back, and then go into the house or go into work. So that's another con. You have to keep in mind, what can I do that is going to be something easy for me to do? Because we're creatures of habit. We don't like. I mean, if we didn't mind doing things the hard way, we'd walk to work, right? So
well, yeah.
but there's other ways of doing this that you can do. You can actually use the dummy fuse, but maybe perhaps not use the actual dummy fuse, but connect a relay somewhere and a hidden switch and actually engage or disengage the fuse into that fuse box and accomplish the same thing. And I just want to say real quick, just like in our disclaimer, pre-segment disclaimer, you need to be careful when you're doing any of these things, guys, because like what Josh was suggesting, shorting out the fuse, I don't think you would do any damage to the battery or yourself. I'm sorry, or the fuse, but you definitely could burn yourself. So make sure you use pliers on the fuse. You stay away from the voltage on the wires. Yeah, common sense things that 99% of us know, but I don't want anybody hurting themselves because they're just too freaking stupid.
Yeah. Very good point, Tony. Thanks for bringing that up.
Now going to the second one, the battery disconnect. Very easy thing to do. You disconnect the battery and it ain't going to start. Ain't nothing to happen. People aren't even going to be able to listen to the radio in your vehicle. So very easy to do. But of course, and Josh in the cons mentions this in the show notes, requires you to pop the hood each time, removing the connection. And don't forget, I don't think it's such a problem with modern day batteries, but if you have one of the older style batteries that do vent the gas, the explosive gas, connecting and disconnecting the battery could lead to a battery explosion.
Yeah, very good point there, Tony. It's unlikely, but again, it's still a possibility. So you want to definitely take as many precautions as possible. Now, another bad thing about this is, well, it requires you, just like last time, or just last tip, is popping the hood each time, removing the connection. I mean, granted, it's usually either a lever or a screw type of quick disconnect to disconnect that. And there's a link that usually pops out, or you take that screw with you and just lay the other side of the connector down, across the battery or whatever. Now, the other issue is that, well, this resets all of your radio presets. So next time you want to, pop in the Jeep and turn on that radio station or whatever. And for those of us who have aftermarket stereos, all of the EQ settings and all that's going to be all reset as well. And so you're going to have to go through that each and every time. To me, that's kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah. But, there's some, I'll just go ahead and voice this thought for the hardcore people listening. What radio?
Yeah, right.
What? I listen to the sound of my 4.0. So anyway.
Well, getting into another one here, it's a fuel cutoff valve. Now, the fuel lines are relatively easy to spot. They're, well, right on the, at least on the late models, I believe even on the earlier models, they all run down the driver's side frame rail. And you can see them right there. They're relatively easy to get to. And of course, you can see the lines coming into the fuel rail up by the engine compartment. Now, putting in a cutoff valve, this is something you can put just about anywhere in line in the fuel line. But it involves a little bit more of experience dealing with some tools and stuff. Generally, you're going to have to get a pipe cutter or something like that to cut the line without crimping it, putting on some flanged ends, maybe a piece of hose and routing it over to where you can put this valve in line. And basically what you're doing is just shutting the fuel, the fuel line off from the rest of the vehicle. So regardless of what the electronics are doing, whether they hotwire the car, whether they bump start it, whatever they're doing, there's a valve, a secret valve that you've hidden somewhere that is going to be shutting the fuel off. Now, they may be able to get, a few feet down the road, but they're not going to get very far. Nonetheless, you're shutting the fuel off to the engine, and it's just plain not going to go. It's a fail-safe solution. It's, unless they find that valve, this is going to work regardless. It's relatively inexpensive. A valve isn't going to cost you all that much. The problem is this is going to take some work. You got to have some know-how. You got to know what you're doing. And of course, anytime you're working with a fuel line, well, you're definitely risking yourself catching on fire, draining your tank and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be messy. It's not exactly an easy thing. And if, depending on the valve and where you put it, it could be spotted relatively easy if you don't hide it well. And this isn't exactly something that can be easily reversed. Obviously, just, putting the hoses back together or, putting in a coupler or something like that, and putting in a little bit of a loop, it'll get you back in, back in action. But yeah, this would be one of those things where if you've done everything else and your Jeep still keeps getting stolen, well, this might be one of the things you add to your list of things to do.
Now, Josh, don't they make electronic fuel cutoff valves where basically you could put a switch or a key lock or something on it and actually make it a little easier to, I think what you're talking about here is a manual valve, and that would actually require you to stick your hand up underneath or around something. You certainly don't want it inside the cab because you don't want a fuel line inside the cab.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a vapor and everything else. Yeah, that's something you want to do. Yeah, I think what you're talking about more would be like an electronic solenoid or a solenoid controlled valve. Mm-hmm. This definitely is going to be stepping the price tag up substantially. But again, when we're talking about, and I'm sure they make something very specific, but I just don't like electronically actuated anything when I'm talking about fuel. Mm-hmm. This is just a potential for a short. Potential for something to not work or a fuse to blow. That is going to be a substantial installation when you're talking about, an electronically controlled valve to cut off your fuel line, even with a secret switch. Now, for somebody like me or you, Tony, somebody who's got a fairly decent mechanical background and knows what they're doing, it's not going to be all that hard. But nonetheless, it's definitely, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, probably around a 7 or 8 as far as difficulty goes. Well, certainly as far as much is entailed in that whole procedure.
Yeah, and then there's the danger of sparks and setting the fuel. But again, guys, just be careful and you probably get through it just fine. Now, I do like the aspect of the thief getting the vehicle started and driving, maybe a block or something and it dying, because now it doesn't necessarily look like some sort of cutoff switch or, okay, I need to have a wrecker or something that I can just take this vehicle because I tried stealing it and I was unable to. When it dies because of fuel starvation, you don't know. It's just, this old piece of crap, I'm going to go get one that's better. So that's kind of cool.
So this next one here is commonly known as a dizzy switch or a distributor cutoff switch. Now, basically what we're doing here is we're going to be using a little switch in line to the feed that feeds the distributor. Now, for you 2002 or 2001 Cherokee owners with the distributorless ignition, obviously this is not going to apply to you. But this applies to virtually any other car out there that does have a distributor. So this isn't just Cherokee exclusive tech. Mm-hmm. This will work on your Wranglers. This will work on an old Kaiser Jeep if you got one sitting in the driveway as well. Honda. This will work on just about any other vehicle as long as it has a distributor. Now, no, I'm not talking about the wire that comes off of it and goes to the center of your cap. No, I'm talking about the feed wire, the electronic, the hot wire that feeds the distributor with power. You're basically going to cut that wire, extend those wires out, put a little switch in line, hide that switch somewhere, and that distributor is not going to fire unless that switch is flicked. That distributor is not going to see power unless that switch is flicked, and that Jeep obviously is not going to start.
Now, is this different than the wire, the 12-volt source that's powering the coil?
Well, essentially that would do the same thing as well, but it's essentially the exact same format. Now, you could do this with your ignition. You could do this with a fuel pump. You could do this with the distributor, with the coil. It's all basically the same principle. You're cutting the feed wire to that device. Now, we're actually I'm kind of jumping ahead here because fuel pump and ignition are actually two other items on our list as far as adding a kill switch to. And these are all things that's basically the same exact concept. You're basically interrupting the electrical flow to that device with a switch. And now you don't, if you have if you have like an inline high performance fuel pump, you got a big stroker motor or something like that. Let's say you're working on a hot rod. Again, this isn't just exclusively Jeep tech. You want to be careful of the amperage draw of that device and make sure that you are wiring in a switch that is capable of handling the kind of amperage that that device is going to draw. But what I'm talking about is basically using that switch to interrupt the electrical feed through that device and making it inoperable unless that switch is flicked. So, and these switches can be hidden just about anywhere. I would not recommend using just any old switch and just zip tying it up underneath the Jeep somewhere. One, because if you're out on the trail, a stick can grab that switch and flick it, and well, all of a sudden you're dead in the water and you might not know exactly what happened. It could be shorted out by mud or water, rain, etc. And again, it could be easily gotten to if a thief crawls underneath the Jeep and starts poking around and looking around. He sees the switch right there. Oh, what's the switch doing out in the middle of the open here underneath the Jeep? That doesn't belong there. Chances are that's a kill switch, and he's going to know what he's looking for, and he's going to just go ahead and flick that and drive your Jeep away. So, but again, if you hide the switch right, you do the installation properly, it's relatively easy to do. Switches are relatively inexpensive. I would recommend hiding the switch inside the Jeep because first the thief actually has to get into the Jeep before he realizes that he can't start it. They're easy to reverse. We're just talking about a single wire that's being cut and extended and a switch wired in line. It does take a little bit of work. You kind of got to know at least how to, wire, operate a set of crimpers and a set of wire cutters and know how to wire a switch, but it's really not all that hard. There's a ton of write-ups out there and a ton of videos online as well about this kind of stuff. They're relatively fail-safe, meaning as long as you flick that switch and that switch is hidden, it's going to work. It's not something where a switch is going to fail and all of a sudden your Jeep can start randomly. It's not going to happen. But these things, like I said, can be bypassed if they're spotted. So, you don't want a gigantic, electrical chair switch type of thing. You want something small.
No big knife switch.
Yeah, no big
no
blade
Frankenstein knife switches. Now, this next one I really like. I think that on the 97 Pluses, I'm not sure about the earlier ones, that this would be for a fuel pump kill switch. I believe the electrical wire running to the fuel pump on the 97 Pluses runs right through that trough through the entryway onto the driver's side. So I think that it would be really easy to put a switch on that B pillar down towards the bottom that you could just kind of reach behind the seat and turn on and off. Now, obviously, this switch would be visible, but somebody would have to look for it. And again, what we're looking for here, I mean, let's be honest. If somebody wants your vehicle, they're going to take it because they can show up with a flatbed or a tow strap or anything and take the vehicle. But you're increasing the level of difficulty. So the nice thing about the fuel pump kill switch is it's right there where you are because you're driving the Jeep, and all you have to do is kind of reach down and behind and to the side on that B pillar and turn the switch on and off. And it, guys, it's something you could probably even explain to your wife while she's sitting in the mall parking lot screaming at you because you did something to the Jeep. She knows she knows you don't like her driving it, and damn it, why did you do that? And then she finds out she caught her purse on it or something, and that's what turned it off. So you just say, honey, calm down. Just reach down there and flip that switch. So, the cons to this is of course it takes some work. You got to have a little know-how about how to cut a wire and splice it in properly. And the switches, they can always go bad. So, there's always going to be an potential issue on any of these things you do, and it will directly affect, or it will be directly affected by the quality of the work and the equipment that you've installed.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's not exactly something you want to spend 33 cents on. Spend a few bucks, maybe $5 or $10 on a good, decent quality switch, because you want it to last, and you definitely don't want to be troubleshooting or trying to help your wife troubleshoot what's going on with the Jeep out in the middle of the parking lot in the middle of February in a downpour. So going on with an ignition kill switch, again, a lot of the same concept here. We're basically just interrupting the electrical flow on this device. And in this case, it's the actual circuit. And there are several ignition circuits in a Jeep. And obviously, you have at least one wire for each position that your ignition key rests in. So obviously in off, there's nothing really going on. You have an accessory and a run and a start position. Each one of those positions has a wire that does a specific thing. When you're installing a aftermarket alarm system, and you opt for the installer to add a starter kill option to the alarm system, this is what they're doing: is they're interrupting that circuit with a relay. Now, an ignition kill switch, I would recommend the use of a relay because these are high amperage circuits. Generally, this isn't something that you just want to wire a switch in line, because the amount of amperage that is going through these circuits would be enough to fry, or at least heat up to the point of frying, just your run-of-the-mill switch. So make the switch operate the relay. The relay is going to do all the work, and the relay is going to interrupt the signal on that ignition switch. Granted, now this is just adding another thing into the equation that could potentially fail, but it's not likely. Relays are relatively easy to come by. They're also relatively easy to swap out, and they're relatively reliable as well. Again, you get what you pay for. I would highly recommend Bosch relays. They are some of the best and the most reliable.
Yeah, automotive relays have been around for a long time, guys.
Exactly.
There's a bunch of them in your vehicle now, so it's more than likely not going to fail for years.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this is something that can be relatively easily put back to the way that it was. Again, we're just basically interrupting one single wire, a couple of quick disconnect connectors on either end, and just plug it right back, or a butt connector, solder it together, however which way. It's easy to reverse. It's relatively fail-safe, meaning it's going to work each and every time. Again, if that switch is spotted, though, this can be bypassed. So this, again, comes down to a very good placement, secret hiding of that switch. Generally recommend something well up underneath the dash, mounted up into a corner that only you can get to or know about. Maybe even a switch in the glove box. You lock the glove box, something like that. Those kind of options work very well. And obviously, a thief is going to have a harder time looking for a switch if you can't find it in a locked glove box.
Yep,
So,
I know you guys have heard of the G spot. Let's talk about this switch placement as about kind of being the S spot. You have to be a professional and know exactly where to put that hand to get to the switch. That's what we're talking about.
we're talking about all kinds of good stuff this episode.
Josh was trying to take a drink of water when I said G spot, and he stopped dead cold. For those of you in the podcast that didn't get to see that, Josh never knows what's gonna come out of my mouth.
No. Every time I take a sip off of that glass of water, I'm taking a risk because it could just get spurted out through my nose onto the keyboard across both my screens. So
now I'll mention real quick on this relay thing. I'll tell you the neat thing about relays is they're very easily bypassed. So we were talking about mechanical switches earlier. You could literally have a relay in place, like for the ignition kill switch or any of these things we're talking about putting a switch in. Putting in a relay, running a remote switch someplace else inside the cab so that you could control it. But you could also put a mechanical switch bypassing the relay at the relay, black tape it up and stuff, and, keep it as you could actually literally cover it in black tape so that it would not be actuated. Only you would know it was there. And if for some reason that relay went bad, you cut the black tape, you get to the switch, you flip the switch. Now it bypasses that bad relay and you're on your way. Now you can repair later after you're at home or someplace safe. So there's many ways of doing this, and your wife wouldn't be too happy with you, but at least she'd be able to open that thing up and flip that switch and get home.
Yep, absolutely. And we're coming up with these ideas in the hopes that that just about anybody can do these sort of things, and that they can be overcome with relative ease if something like this were to leave your wife stranded, were to leave you stranded. They're relatively easy to be reversed with little to no tools at all, and stuff that we would carry around in our Cherokees anyways. Now, something that you might be carrying around or you might have in your wife's car already would be the club. Everybody knows about the club, the big red thing that telescopes out in between the points of your steering wheel, and that prevents a thief from being able to drive the car away. Now, the problem with these things are, now granted, they've been around for 100 years. I'm obviously over-exaggerating, but nonetheless, they've been around for a long time. You can get them just about anywhere. They're very easy to use. Grandma can use them, for Christ's sake. But the problem is they can be bypassed with a hacksaw. Steering wheels are not exactly made with, aircraft titanium. They're relatively thin pot metal of sorts. They're meant to bend in an impact. Obviously, some of them have an airbag in them. They're just basically a thin strip of metal with a bunch of foam and plastic around them. And a hacksaw goes through them in literally a matter of seconds. And that's all it takes is a couple of cuts with a hacksaw on your steering wheel, and the club pops right off. And the thief can still, rifle the ignition, hotwire the car, pop the lock, and drive away and leave your club sitting on the side of the street with a little bit of your steering wheel with it. So I don't recommend the club. Now, for stupid thieves or guys that don't know how to bypass these things, obviously it's a great visual deterrent. And again, it's just one more thing that is in their way of stealing your Jeep. They want to find something they can get into and get away with very easily. And a club, even though it can be easily bypassed, it's going to take more time. And time is something a thief doesn't have a whole lot of when he's stealing a car.
Yep. There's one other thing that is a con about it. It's a great deterrent because it's visible, but also too, the con is, oh, look, there's a club. I need to come back with a hacksaw. So that's kind of the neat things about these cutoff switches. You won't know it until you try it. And hopefully you'll be aware when somebody has tried to steal your vehicle, and you can do more than one of these things, guys. You don't have to just do one.
That's right. I highly recommend doing, as much as you can to make it as hard as you can for a Jeep for a thief to steal your Jeep or your other car, whatever vehicle that you're doing this stuff to. Put as much stuff in the way to make it as hard as possible and as long as possible for him to, or for whatever thief to steal your car. Now, the other bad thing about the club is obviously it requires a key. Keys can be lost, and well, then you're screwed, and you're going to be the one who's hacksawing your steering wheel. So there's one other thing that is kind of along the lines of a club, but it's called a pedal jack. Now, by federal mandate, all brake pedals, gas pedals, they all have to be made out of tempered steel for whatever reason. Obviously, we don't want the lever that is attached to the pedal to fail or to bend or whatever. It has to be very strong, way stronger than the metal that's in your steering wheel at the very least. So they have a club out there that's specifically designed to lock onto your pedal. And I think it locks to like the steering wheel or the firewall. I've only seen one of these things in action once, but it's called a pedal jack. And trust me, it's going to be a lot harder to bypass one of these things than anything else as far as a quick lock it with a key type of thing that's going to make your car immobile. At least certainly very unattractive for a thief to steal. He's not going to be hacksawing through your brake pedal anytime soon.
No, they'd probably go after the pedal jack before they'd go for the pedal, the brake pedal.
Yeah. Now, these things are also available just about anywhere. They're relatively inexpensive. They're super easy to use. Anybody can use them. They are a little bit cumbersome. They take up some space, and they do require a key. Now, a key, again, can be lost, and locks can be picked. So, it kind of depends on just how many things you want to put in the way. But again, this might be a viable option for you to keep the Jeep in the driveway.
And don't forget, guys, if you use one of these things in combination with a cutoff switch, the would-be thief would look at it like, oh, okay, well, I just have to get through this steering wheel, and then I go. and then they can't. So then it's going to take more time to figure it out. And again, time is money. They are, and potentially jail time. So they need to get in and get out. Now, of course, one of the great things to have, and what comes with a lot of houses, but isn't used for its intended purpose, is a garage. The problem is we got everything else in there but the vehicle. So it's a great thing to have if you have the room. Of course, the cons are if you're living in an apartment complex or a home that didn't come with a garage, perhaps an older turn of the century home. And I'm sure there's some probably inexpensive housing that doesn't have a garage or has one that is so low and so narrow that the Cherokee's not going to fit in it, especially a modified one.
Yeah, I know that I'm about another inch away from not being able to fit my Jeep in the garage. Now, folks, for those of you who are listening to the podcast, we do the show live, and there's a fairly active chat that's going on in the comments section on our YouTube channel right now as we're recording and broadcasting the show. And if you guys have come up with a few very interesting ideas, one of the more interesting ones was a beehive that you would place into the vehicle. And obviously, a big fat wasp nest is going to deter anybody from getting in the Jeep.
Deter is exactly right.
Probably even you yourself. So I would recommend against this. But if it comes down to a last resort and every other car on the block has been stolen, I would highly recommend slapping a beehive into the back of your Jeep. Now, some of the other options that have been discussed are kind of along the lines of popping open the hood each time and doing something that requires a little bit of time and finesse, but things like unplugging the crank position sensor, or maybe even the throttle position sensor. These are things that are going to make the Jeep very undrivable, if not completely unstartable altogether. But again, this is something that each and every time you have to pop the hood open and get out, regardless of what the weather is doing, get under the hood and do whatever you got to do. And chances are your hands are going to get a little grimy, a little bit dirty. Obviously, this is something that your wife isn't going to want to do. And if you're running late for work the next morning, it's something that you're probably not going to want to deal with. Yeah. But nonetheless, these things do work, just like removing one of the spark plug wires or the wire that goes from the coil to the cap. Even removing the rotor inside the cap will work as well. The Jeep is obviously not going to start without a rotor, and it's not like the thief is going to be carrying one of these in his pocket. But again, it takes time, but it is a fail-safe option to make sure the Jeep is going to stay in your parking lot or in your garage, or even in your parking lot.
Mm-hmm. One other thing that I wanted to mention, you could also. I just lost it. There was something that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned because it's a real easy thing to do. Oh, the neutral safety switch. We all love when the neutral safety switch goes south on us and you can't start the damn vehicle and you have to put it in neutral or you have to wiggle it back and forth. Well, make it work to your advantage. If you put a relay in or just a mechanical switch, I don't know what it is on the earlier models, but on the 97, you know how the center emergency brake handle, well, there's a little fuzzy thing where you can reach inside, kind of like the central console. You could mount a switch, like glue one in there, use some industrial strength glue, stick your fingers in there, hit that switch, it's completely out of sight. I mean, somebody may find it, but what a great place to hide a neutral safety switch cutoff.
Absolutely.
And now it's not going anywhere. Oh, one other thing, you could cut into the brake line. The one that that sends the signal. No, the electrical, not the hydraulics, Josh.
Okay. I was going to say, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot at that point.
No, but I mean the brake switch that actually tells the brake lights to come on. It also tells the AW4 transmission to allow you to actually put it in drive. So you could literally turn off that brake switch through a relay or a mechanical switch, and they're not going to get it out of park, because you have to press the brake to pull it down into gear. So, there's lots of different ways of doing this. The real trick is, how can you do it that makes it easy for you to do it every time? It's something, of course, the one time you don't do it is whenever it's going to get stolen.
Yeah, exactly. I've got one last tip for you guys. It's something I brought up in electrical and audio tips way back when, but it's very, very easy to come by. It's a little red flashing LED light. You can pick them up at Radio Shack. just about anywhere that's that supplies, electrical components. You can buy them online. It's just a small little 12-volt LED that when power is supplied to it, it blinks. And as any thief is going to know, he looks in a car and sees a red blinking light. That means an alarm, and he's going to move on to the next car.
I wonder
Plain
if
and
you
simple, it's probably one of the best visual deterrents that there is that little red flashing LED light.
I wonder if you could program those things to do Morse code and have it blink FU.
Yeah, yeah, you probably could. Require probably a little Arduino board or something like that. Obviously, it's going to require something above a lot of our listeners' pay grade, but nonetheless, definitely something that you guys could do. It's very, very cheap. It only requires a couple of electrical connections, just a small little section of 2-lead wire, that little LED, and a place to put it. Obviously, in someplace easy to see from anywhere around the Jeep, but probably one of the most well-functioning visual deterrents to keep your Jeep where it's parked is that little red flashing light.
You would probably cause a car thief to dig and look for the alarm system for a good 20 minutes, trying to find where the alarm
There's
installers.
Gotta be one in here somewhere.
Where did they hide it? Good God, I can't find it. And then finally go for the LED light and go, son of a bitch. When they find it's just a decoy. But I'm sure that, again, if they want your vehicle, they're going to take it. We're talking about making it more difficult.
That's what it's all about, guys, making it as difficult as possible for anybody to steal your Jeep.
Oh,
well, we've got Steve. Go ahead.
I was just going to add, and one more thing. If you have an alarm system, many of those alarm systems have the ability to attach a relay, and they you could actually have your alarm system turn these things off or turn them off, turn whatever it is that you want. It's just sending a signal out to the relay. So wherever you want to hook up that relay to whatever electrical device, fuel pump, ignition, kill, whatever, you could take that alarm system and let it handle turning off or disabling your vehicle. Now, of course, you run into the situation that I was just joking about, where the thief goes after the alarm system itself, finds it, rips it out, or unplugs everything, and now it's disabled. So it's always kind of nice to have a backup fail-safe system where you can disable it and it's hidden, and it's going to be very difficult for the thief to find. One other thing, you don't think of just toggle switches, because the ones that have like the little lever that moves up and down or side to side. There are I say pressure switches, but switches that you can press to engage. Those things could be hidden inside wire looms, and you know where on the wire loom to press, and you could kind of feel a click. So it would be hidden. It wouldn't be something you'd have to dig out. You would just have to know where on the, am I calling it right, Josh? The wire loom, that plastic stuff that's split in the middle that has ribs. Yep. For her pleasure.
Wire loom or split loom, either of those. And Tony's right. But again, just make sure you're matching up the switch's capabilities with the amperage draw of the circuit that you're interrupting. But just like Tony said, relays, they're your friend. Steve 4.3 LXJ has done some great write-ups and even a podcast with us about relays, all about relays. We have a section strictly dedicated to relays over on xjtalk.com in the electrical and audio tip section.
Yep. Oh, and Steve 4.3 LXJ hasn't disappeared. We have lots more tips coming from him. He's recording them and sending them in, and we will have them on future shows. Well, I think it's time to do a voicemail, Josh.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get to some voicemails.
Hey, this is Tony.
And this is Josh from the XJ Talk Show. We want to thank you for calling our 24/7 voice line.
Yes, we do. Just leave your first name and your question or comment.
There's no guarantee, but we may play your message on the podcast.
Oh, and don't worry about keeping it clean. We'll take care of that.
Now it's your turn to speak at the beep.
Hey, this is Mickey G, and I just heard the podcast, and I heard your apology/endorsement of the 2014 Jeep Cherokee, as I like to refer to it as 2014 Jeep Mockery. And I keep thinking, why would you guys say something like that? And the cogs in my brain start spinning, and I come to the conclusion that, well, Jeep, as you know, is owned by Chrysler. Chrysler is owned by Fiat, Fiat's based in Italy. So that only means one thing, organized crime. So, Josh, if the mafia is holding your dog hostage, blink twice. We'll understand. And the good thing about Fiat owning Jeep is now they'll finally have a cup holder big enough to hold a wine glass. And child seats are going to come standard with ashtrays. All right, guys, I will chat you later and have a good one. Bye.
Oh, very true. Don't forget, there's been 2 attempts in my life from Fiat vehicles. And now here's I think it's a burgeoning new segment called Josh's Subconscious.
Oh, boy.
And now, another message from Josh's Subconscious. You, dear me, have you seen the Honda commercials with Michael Bolton? Yum! Why didn't Jeep come up with that idea? The only thing better would be if Jeep had both Michael Bolton and Barry Manilow. I'm such a fan-alo. I'd be happier than Rosie O'Donnell at a buffet full of Little Debbie oatmeal cakes. Oh no, I'm missing Magic Mike movie. Ah!
Oh, man. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Kudos to the anonymous person that is in Josh's head. So,
oh, yes, a fanalo. That's a good one.
So, guys, again, as we often say, sorry the show went so long.
we're having a good time though, and we really enjoy you guys calling in with stuff like that. So keep up that good work, Anonymous. I love those. Those are always give me a good laugh. But Nikki G calling in. We got Steve 4.3 LXJ sharing some Jeep tips with us as usual. And again, here coming up very soon. Please, guys, join in on the fun. 530-675-4102. That's our 24/7 voicemail line. You can get in on the fun. If you got something that you think you might want to add to the show, kind of like the Josh's Subconscious segment there, feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email, send us a private message on xjtalk.com. Either way, go ahead and get at us, and we'd love to hear from you and love to add you to the show.
Hey, it's just like Audrey said in the clip that we played tonight for next week's interview with her on episode 114. She said, think outside the box, and I guarantee you the Anonymous certainly thought outside the box whenever he came up with Josh's Subconscious. So, man, get involved. We want you involved with the show. Just like Josh always says, there's always a third seat open here.
Yep, and we invite you guys to head over to iTunes. Check us out on iTunes. We're downloadable there as well as on Stitcher. Also, the entire XJ Talk Show archive available on xjtalkshow.com. Please give us a 5-star review over on iTunes. Leave us a comment there. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Find our YouTube channel with a search there. It's youtube.com/user/XJTalk. And please subscribe there and tell a friend. You guys are doing a good job of that. Numbers keep rising, so keep up the good work.
Hey, don't forget about us on Facebook, Twitter. We're also on Tumblr. I think I've mentioned that before. We post up a few pictures there every so often. So friend us on Facebook. Just look for XJ Talk. Just do a little search for XJ Talk on Facebook and Twitter. Till next week.
Don't miss. I was going to say real quick, Tony, don't miss episode 114. We have a huge announcement coming up you guys don't want to miss out on.
Oh, yeah. So we'll see you next week. Have a great week. And remember, shows come out Monday at midnight now. Don't miss it. And we are out. Not out of toilet paper, but we're out.
So for those who are listening to the live show and have heard me talk about, I'm sorry, 92 War Wagons, 4.5-inch long arm build. He's going to do a little shakedown run this coming weekend. So any of you Pacific Northwest live show listeners would like to join in on Wheeling Run, please go ahead and send me a private message on xjtalk.com. And we'll see if we can't get you into the lineup of Jeeps that are probably going to be going. And if you're not a member on xjtalk.com, damn it, why not? I mean, I know a lot of people don't like forums because of, they get disrespected, bottom line. Whether you call it flaming or being spoken to in a disrespectful manner, hate speak or whatever.
We don't do that on xjtalk.com. So if that's the reason why you've been turned off to forums, pirate, you ought to give xjtalk.com a try. Now, we always rag on pirate4x4.com, but it is a very good technical, a lot of good technical information and very colorful. I'll go over there and read stuff, but I do not feel like getting into the whole, wait, honey, I'll be there in a minute. Somebody on the internet is wrong and I've got to straighten them out, because it's a no-win situation. It's like a dog chasing a car. What's the dog going to do with a car?
Right.
Anywho. So, if you guys don't know, if you're new to the whole live, YouTube live experience, we have a little pre-show, then we have a little post-show. I think we will have very little post-show tonight because we ran so long, and I saw Josh rubbing his eyes earlier. He's a tired boy, I can tell.
Well, 4:30 comes awfully early in the morning, and so my bedtime is fast approaching.
Yep.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here, and I'm working on the script for our promo, which you guys will hear relatively soon. So be looking forward to that. Make sure you guys are sharing those with your friends as well.
Yeah, join us next week for Audrey's interview, and also too for our little announcement about what we're going to be adding to the show for your listening pleasure. Not just to this show, but things that will be available in the stream during the week. I think that's enough. Enough said on that.
Enough of a tease. Yeah.
All right, guys, have a good night. We're going ahead and run this thing off the rails and get this promo out of the way and let Josh go to sleepy bye.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week.